Also, the reason we were able to run that intro is because the COVID subcommittee now came out with its official report. And I go through three main truths. People are talking about it out there, but not a lot of people providing substantiation as far as fact checking it. We now know a lot of the stuff that we were sold and you were banned on social media for believing, lab leak, gain of function, all that stuff, social distancing. Turns out you were right. And your institutions were wrong. I can say that now. It's not the most free and fair election that we've ever had, 2020. And a lot of COVID, a lot of it was a myth, which means that at some point today, you still may see, if you're watching on YouTube, this. Head on over to Rumble. It's a live show. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. And of course, you get 100% more show if you join Rumble Premium. And because Gerald, the CEO, Captain Morgan, is out today, he's sick. I told you it's a good day.
Come on.
In his spot today, when you hear this, you like him. He likes it. Bricktown Comedy Club, December 21st, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mr. Josh Firestein, how are you?
I'm good. If you want tickets, you can get them at fleshhammer.edu.
Yes, take it, like it, love it.
My new tagline.
Yeah, it's sometimes, the spirit moves me. And then when you hear this, so in his spot,
that's right. There it is.
I come from his pee-pee. Goodness. As Pops Crowder. Pops Crowder, thanks for pinch hitting. How are you?
I'm doing my best here. I think I caught a little bit of what Gerald has from the microphone or something. But
really?
If I start to laugh, I may cough. So
oh, no, you're going to sound like Ethel Merman?
That's right.
Everyone's sick. Everyone's been getting sick. I had it election night. You guys some of you know, I was hooked up to an IV like twice before that because I had a stomach flu from hell, and I will do anything to avoid getting sick again. But, that's how it works.
I understand my theme song. I'm a little into the rap since I've spoken with Suge Knight from prison.
That's true.
You were in prison?
No, he was in prison.
He's in prison. And Pops Crowder spoke to him. That's got to be a bizarre experience.
It was. His wife made it happen. So it was a three-way call. And every few minutes it said, this call is being recorded and your number is being captured. And it's coming over the top of people speak. So you can still hear somebody in the background with that overlay repeated recording.
Wow, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that Pops Crowder would be trying to get Suge Knight booked on the show discussing this from prison.
That's right.
After he killed another guy.
I hope that number goes around the prison, by the way.
I told Steven, I said, hey, we may be able to get him on. Steven goes, Dad, I hope you know. He killed a guy.
Yes. Yes, he did.
Don't get too excited.
Or that guy had it coming, though.
He never even put his car in park when he left the prison. This is happening. I head back.
That was just a pit stop. He had to handle business.
Yes, he did. Part of you has to respect it because you know where you stand. Something I don't respect. First story here today. To celebrate ringing in the new year, an OnlyFans model, Lily Phillips, and just so you know, just addressing and discussing does not mean condoning before people get upset. But you know what? I think you need to point out that an ideology is wrong. And I think we should bring shame back because that's the only effective tool we have if we're going to try and right this ship. So an OnlyFans model, Lily Phillips, will attempt to break a world record. And I know what you're thinking, like spinning plates? No.
Kind of.
That's what I thought. She'll be sleeping with 1,000 men in 24 hours, and Dad is proud.
If you want to be a part of breaking a world record, I have now pinned a poster on my Twitter on how to apply to be one of the 1,000 guys to be with me in 24 hours.
Let's just rattle through the commentary, through the comedy before we get to commentary, because I think we're all about to blow. Never did I think I'd be discussing this with my father on my program. So she put out an open application asking people to send in their submissions and sponsoring the event and getting into the exclusive rights to in-game interviews with the human railroad herself is none other than the pioneer of dead mediums, the gold standard of radio, Howard Stern.
This January, Old Stern is back with OnlyFans model Lily Phillips as she bangs 1,000 guys.
I masturbated 3 times.
Send your applications to sternshow@howardstern.com for your chance to be one in 1,000 suitors. Suitor number 999 will win backstage passes to see Aerosmith's Last Century and Syphilis. For the exclusive audio-only coverage, tune in to the bad boy of radio, Howard Stern, on Stern 100. Only on Sirius XM.
You know, he really was a bad boy before the internet.
Yeah. I was looking up clips for that. I stumbled upon a bunch of porn sites.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes. He's edgy, except for the fact that now women do it voluntarily on their OnlyFans. They've cut him out. He's like a car salesman. They just cut him out as a middleman.
You don't need an old creepy guy going, yeah, nice tits. And
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Like, yeah, tell everyone that you're taking off your clothes. This is great radio. And as it stands now, by the way, a couple of our employees threw their hats in the ring and just received a response. So, yep. Oh, that is gross, Samuel.
Nice pick.
And this one as well was.
Any hole will do.
Oh, come on now.
Wow.
He's not here to defend himself.
Come on now. Well, you know what? He picked the wrong day to fake being sick. And this is where we are at this point in the culture. This lady, Abby Phillips, she's going to be sleeping with
Lily
1,000.
Phillips, which, by the way, afterwards.
Oh, that's
changed
right.
her name
Sorry,
to
not
Lily
Abby. Sorry.
Flathead. but-
Yes, yes. Not Abby Phillips. I'm sure that's someone else. Lily Phillips.
Yes.
Sounds like a BS name. Going to sleep with 1,000 men right now.
That's a lot of nuts.
And here's the thing, too.
He just had that in his pocket. Oh, he's been sitting on that.
That was incredibly
2,000
appropriate.
That was perfect.
That was perfect.
Like, I know men here, and I know your wives, and everyone here has an attractive lady in their life. And I get it. You'll say that Miss Phillips is a pretty woman, but there are other pretty women out there. And isn't it nice to be able to find a pretty woman who doesn't sleep with 1,000 men, who has self-respect? I don't know that Miss Phillips and people of her ilk understand that's what you're competing against. You're not competing against if women could do it. If they were as hot as me, then they would do it. Get their money. No. There are plenty of women out there who don't. They're just after different things, which do you feel that? I sense a 5-year into the future time travel coming on. Breaking. Lily Phillips confused as to why she can't find a decent husband. Who made this? Who made this jacket? Who did it?
In the future, you're much heavier.
Yes, I am.
It's a gay straitjacket. I love it. Can you imagine being one? I hope she doesn't make the goal. I hope she falls short.
Yes.
She gets like 902 or something.
And what was that quarterback who used to do the Guinness Book of World Records show? Just comes out, just a
I don't
buzzer.
know.
Oh, no. No. Remember who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Tall white guy? He was
That was a regular TV show.
It was a
Guinness
regular
Book,
TV show. Like some guy, put a tarantula in his butt or something.
To be fair, she said sleep with. The
Yes.
joke may be on us.
Yes.
It may be like a Madame Tussauds wax figure where you hit quick, next,
Yeah,
next,
yeah.
next.
Yeah. Power
Yeah,
naps.
if she would have take an epidural or something, what's
Oh my goodness.
at some point it's going to start hurting, right? 1,000 people, that's going to start for 24 hours straight. It's going to hurt.
At a certain point, it's just push-ups.
Textbook definition of a
What
super
kind?
spreader.
Yes.
It's like
Super
40-something guys an hour.
Yeah.
And the guys have no self-respect either.
No, of course they don't.
That's disgusting.
And-
Only the guy number one has any, kind of.
And look, women out there, if you're watching this, because people say, oh, well, and I get it. Look, being a Christian, being a conservative, you don't want to have to address this. But here's the thing that's going to warp this woman's mind. This is an extreme example. Guarantee you of those 1,000 guys, there are probably a few guys who are 10s, really good looking, have a fast car, have a lot of money, have their stuff together. And this girl, Phillips, is going to think that that's actually her caliber of man. But then when she realizes, wait a second, no, if that guy's a 10, the 10s aren't going to marry you. The threshold is far lower to sleep with you. Even if you're middling attractive, you can get a very attractive, very successful man to sleep with you if you catch him at the right time. It's a very different standard. This person will have to marry you. These people will sleep with you. They will not marry you. The people who will be willing to marry you in 5 or 10 years' time after your window closes, sorry, it's a biological reality, are not going to be the men to whom you've become accustomed. They were just sleeping with you. And so it warps women's perspective, and they feel entitled to someone who was never serious with them in the first place. And you have a lot of good men out there who can't compete with a ghost. Hope you enjoy it. Lily Phillips, you made your crusty bed.
Oh my goodness.
Gotcha, bitch.
The video's going to be called Uncrustables.
Yes.
KY jelly
Could be a
provided.
little bit of Dunkaroo action.
By the way, Gerald just texted me. By the way, he said, "I'm listening, jerks,"
Yeah, you can't say anything. back.
Yeah, you can.
and I've been fired.
And this record could never go the other way. A guy could say, okay, 5 in 24 hours. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
of course. I mean,
Yeah.
unless it was
It's
too low.
unfair.
This
I
is
say.
not
It's
her
unfair.
first go, by the way. I believe.
Yeah, she failed.
I believe.
Oh no,
Yeah.
she wants to go again.
Yeah. Well, I can appreciate the resilience. You know.
Look, I get it. If at first you don't succeed, try again. But the fact remains, you failed at being a whore.
1,000 guys. That's gonna be the longest episode of Maury ever. You're not the father. You're not the 900 people later. You are the father.
I forgot that. That was all it was.
That's
Attorney
mostly.
test. Oh, okay. All right.
Keep
By
our
the way,
families together.
we of course still have our Mug Club Undercover unit right now, working on some good stories. But if you see any fraud, abuse, waste, corruption, send us a tip, lwctips@protonmail.com. We will protect our sources with our life. It's time to move on here to Donald Trump. Look, we're going to go through Hamas, Canada, and Japan. Okay. He put out some Truth Social posts, some social media posts addressing all of these nations. What is going on is art of the deal. If you actually think that all of these threats are going to come to fruition, I think you maybe don't understand what it is that Donald Trump is doing. But I do like that he's taking this kind of posture. Have you read the post on Hamas? Have you seen this? Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best ever. It's a lot of fun. And really, all of them are going to be responding with, he's crazy enough to do it. There's a value in that. Crazy beats big every time. So Monday, this was
the
the first
Suge Knight of politics.
Yes, exactly. It's like, dangle him from the balcony, ripping off his stuff from Bowie and Queen.
That said, I do think he's a count to 3 kind of guy.
Yes.
I mean, it's posturing. Yeah, it's a threat, but he'll act on 1 or 2 just to keep him honest.
I don't even think he'll count to 3. He'll do what you did when I was a kid. He'll just go, 2!
Just skip 1.
Yeah, we would skip if it was necessary. We'd go to 2 3/4.
Oh, yeah. No, he never gave me 1. My Pops Crowder.
You guys do it in French? Oh,
sir.
Well, one was him telling you what to do.
Exactly. 1 was he would say, "Hey,
Thanks, Tim.
Go clean.
That's a dad right
go
there.
clean the dishes." I don't want to. 2. Okay. What happened to 1? just abject terror. But it worked. Now,
It does work.
Monday. This is the post on Hamas. We'll go through them, I guess, in sequence of Hamas, Canada, Japan. This was his post. He said, everybody is talking about the hostages who are being held so violently, inhumanely, and against the will of the entire world in the Middle East, but it's all talk, no action. Please let this truth, trademark, serve to represent that if the hostages are not released prior to January 20th, 2025, the date that I proudly assume office as President of the United States, there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East. And for those in charge who perpetrated these atrocities against humanity, those responsible will be hit harder than anybody has been hit in the long and storied history of the United States of America. Release the hostages now! And I bet you Hamas is doing the math, going like, oh, hold on, okay, there's Nagasaki, there's, oh shit.
yeah. Japan's like, you better take it up seriously.
Yes, oh, it will make a part of the Federation.
It will do a blockade.
When did I become a reset the Muppet? Now, wherever you line up, think about this though. It is good for someone to have at least a very clear mandate. The Democrat Party, a big part of the reason they lost this last election is because remember Kamala Harris ran 2 sets of ads, one catering to Jews and one catering to anti-Semites. I believe it was in Minnesota. It might have been Pennsylvania. One was for Jews. One was for the pro-Hamas people. They couldn't be united in just, hey, we got to focus on getting the hostages released. Also, I don't really know what the threat honestly is pretty vague because there are not that many targets left to hit. Have you seen what it looks like right now in Gaza? It's like, I mean, it's gonna look like Superman's dad's bachelor pad at a certain point. So this is what he's saying to Hamas. That's very, very clear. You may not like it. It's a lot clearer than the foreign policy that we have. There's something to be said for clarity. Then Donald Trump laid the flesh hammer down on Justin Trudeau during their meeting yesterday at Mar-a-Lago. Oh, sorry, right clip. But here's the other clip with Mr. Ducey describing the meeting where Donald Trump referred to Canada as potentially the 51st state of
and
America.
Tonight we're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from two people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
Now, I've been saying that for years.
That Trudeau should be governor?
I'm the hipster of 51st state, Canada. It's a useless place. But let me be clear about something here. The theme that you're going to see is unfair trade practices, right? The United States has been, the only reason we've been taken advantage of is because we allow it to happen. We fund the world's security, we fund the world's innovation, and then get screwed in a very one-sided way on the deals that we supposedly made. That's what this posturing is about. Comment below if you understand that. If I'm going to get into Canada in a little bit and some of the tricks that they pull. It's not fair. It's not right. And the United States should use its leverage. By the way, the detailed report of the meeting is even better. This is from Fox News. It said that Trump continued telling Trudeau that prime minister is a better title, though he could still be governor of the 51st state. Sources told Fox News someone at the table chimed in and advised Trump that Canada would be a very liberal state, which received even more laughter. Trump suggested that Canada could possibly become two states, a conservative and a liberal one. The reason I find that funny is because he didn't just throw it out as a joke and move on, like he stuck on the point.
No, and somebody chimed in, which is great. I want to know who chimed in there to set the table for him.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Someone was like, Canada be very liberal. Well, that's true. I don't like that. Maybe you could be 51st, 52, right? If you have a liberal, a conservative one. Either way, I own you. So the reference that he's making, $100 billion, and again, all references available, link in the description, every single show. This is where people say Trump's a liar. He exaggerates. And sometimes you exaggerate when you're coming in, art of the deal, come in really hot, and then be willing to walk away from the table. It's part of the blueprint. He wrote a book to teach you how to negotiate, right? $100 billion here, this comes from Census, is we're actually talking about the U.S.-Canada trade imbalance. So under Donald Trump, the imbalance was about $18 billion. Under Biden, it was $58 billion. Just to be clear. So you saw a change, right, take place. And Donald Trump wants to reverse that. That's not the entire problem, though. It's not really the problem. The unfair trade practices are. So let me give you a couple of examples here. And I say this having been raised in Canada, having dual citizenship. And I don't want to get too wonky, but you may not understand this. Canadian lumber, okay? Now, if we were to just look at the trade agreements, or if we were to look at free trade, hey, great. If they have a better lumber industry in Canada and it's cheaper for Americans, that's good. That's good for you. If it's an equal playing field. The problem is, and I want you to have this as a subtext, none of this takes place if the United States does not fund Canada's security and really the entire world. We'll get to NATO and how useless it is in a second. So in Canada, their lumber industry entirely subsidized, almost entirely subsidized. And then they dump their product in the United States. So what does that mean? That means that in Canada, they can just lower the price artificially. And we saw this too, by the way, this is what happens with single payer, right? You have a government option. Well, the government option is not beholden to a profit. The government option doesn't have to be a viable service as it relates to healthcare. So they just go, oh, wait, what's the average market price? $500 a month. We'll give it to you for $2. And so none of these other companies can compete. And that's what happens in the lumber industry. So Canadian loggers, right? They pay below market rates to basically harvest this stuff off government land. They call it stumpage fees. And so what happens, they dump that in the States. American lumber cannot compete, but it's not happening on an honest playing field. And you know this is true because the Biden administration increased tariffs on Canada, their lumber, by 80%. They did that in 2022. Then they dropped them on the way out in 2024. Went back. Raised them, dropped them. Raised them, dropped them. Big reason for that is probably trying to make housing a little bit more affordable. Something else, too, you see this with Canadian drugs. A lot of Americans will get drugs from Canada because it's a lot cheaper. I understand that. I think that drugs should be cheaper. Donald Trump made some progress with that. But what happens is Canada has government-funded healthcare. So all of the R&D takes place in the United States. It's why you have more MRI machines in the state of Vermont than the entire country of Canada. Canada takes the drugs, subsidizes them, and then sells them back to Americans who paid for them effectively twice through their taxpayer, through their tax dollars, and then buying them across the border. Let's look at the budgets here, for example. With all of that, the defense, this is what matters most. The United States is the only reason that Canada is allowed to exist. So why should we defend Canada? Why should we be funding Ukraine if they're going to turn around and screw us on our lumber industry? So let's look at our budget, right? Look at the defense budget. United States, $876 billion, right? The NATO agreement says 2% of your GDP. Canada, $27 billion. That's less than 1.4% of their GDP. Less than 1.4%. Anyone here believe that Canada can protect its own borders? Anyone here believe that Canada wouldn't be standing there with their hand out, demanding the United States go and defend them if something were to happen? But right now, they act arrogantly and tell us, well, you Americans are fascists, whatever, insert whatever they want to here while they use electricity in their light bulbs and watch their Seinfeld and Simpsons and listen to their American music because it's a silly place. The good news is, according to Trudeau, though, Canada will finally hit its NATO spending for the first time since the 1970s really soon.
Canada fully expects to reach NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by 2032.
Oh,
2032? 2032? Think about this for a second. They can't, okay, you can only plan for this in 2032. Okay, hey, how about you cut out socialized healthcare to meet the international agreement that you signed with NATO? Hey, you know what? The next $100 billion going to Ukraine, how about that comes from you? Stop subsidizing with your tax dollars healthcare, drugs, internet, media, CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, lumber. Just get rid of all of these luxuries that you like to lord over the United States because you're so progressive, and start paying what you already agreed to, I believe in the 1950s, an original member of NATO. You haven't hit 2% of your GDP since 1971. I believe I'm going by road. If I'm off by 2 years, forgive me. References in the sidebar. We're going to get it done by 2032. Okay, here's my rule. We will not fund any of your defense. If Russia attacks you, they can take you until you start paying immediately. Right now. And we're not buying any of your lumber. Why is the United States allowing themselves to be taken advantage of? Do you realize that Canada is a bigger country than the USA as far as landmass? Canada has 151,000 miles of border.
wow.
151,000 miles. They spend about $437 per mile protecting their border. The United States, we spend $790,000. Huge portion of that border is us. Hey, why don't we just hop over it and take your stuff, Canada? Can you imagine Genghis Khan putting up with this shit?
No, not a chance. I can't imagine him putting up with anything. Dude, they are arrogant. I had to work with them in Afghanistan. Most of them nice guys.
Right.
All right, most of them nice guys. But they had the police. They were the police on Kandahar Airfield.
Yeah.
And they would give out tickets.
Like speeding tickets?
Yeah, it's speeding tickets. We got pulled over, got a speeding ticket for going 20 miles per hour. Supposed to be kilometers. We were going the wrong speed. They pulled us over, gave us a ticket. We were like, oh, we're Rangers. We don't care. Do whatever you want.
I was going to say, how do they enforce that? Is it like they revoke your license with the community of Kandahar?
I didn't take care of it. They probably contacted our command and told them, hey, your guys are being dicks. And they're probably like, yeah, screw you.
Yeah, whatever. Good luck collecting.
Yeah, get back to the jailhouse on the safe base.
Hey, Rangers, we wrote you a ticket for going 15 over. Yeah, when you guys gonna pay that? No? Okay.
It's like $150.
We're just,
important
with the exchange rate.
All right, well,
if we say please.
I better get back to the cafeteria. They're serving pancakes and maple syrup today.
That's right. Yeah, in our rations, we get beer.
I'll meet you down at the Tim Hortons.
It's true.
They got Tim Hortons all over that country.
He's not joking.
No, they get beer in their rations. Please take us seriously as a country. No. No, we will not. And then I grew up in Canada. They would say, oh, America's this evil empire. Really? Name me an empire who wouldn't take over Canada immediately.
Yeah, the Romans would have taken that
so long ago. Romans, the Turks, the Ottomans, you go, the Mongols. Like what?
Not a person alive would know that their queen was on the money at some point.
Right, exactly. So this is where we are with Canada when Donald Trump's saying, you know what, we're not going to do that anymore. Keep in mind, we fund the defense of the entire world so that places like Germany can give their people free internet because it's a human right. Really? Internet's a human right? Hey, how about ensuring that they don't get genocided again? How about that? Oh, that's right. Okay. The problem is you don't even honor your agreements. It's the most basic agreement. NATO. Everyone benefits from the United States. NATO might as well be called, hey, USA, we want more money. And Donald Trump is saying, we're not doing it anymore. You better start paying your fair share. Remember that? Pay their fair share. Right, socialists? Oh,
Hey, yeah. Finnegan is calling. Sorry to interrupt. Finnegan's trying to call into the show.
he's not even on assignment. Okay, well, I guess put him on. All right, Finnegan, we weren't expecting your call today. What breaking news do you have for us today?
Hi, Stephen.
Hi. What do you want, Thomas?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're about a week late on that one, Thomas.
In the spirit of the season, would you have a place for me to stay?
Where are you now? Looks cozy. Are you at home? Right.
Oh, I could never afford a place as nice as this.
Hey, man, can I have these?
What do you need them for?
I don't know. Maybe sell them.
Yeah.
Maybe some sex stuff.
Okay.
Okay, but this isn't my place. I'm just squatting until my ex-wife takes me back.
No, she got remarried, Thomas. We've been through this. She has a restraining order. You having trouble finding a home? Is that what's going on right now?
Finding is easy. It's the financing. That's a whole different story.
Oh, I'll have Gerald set you up with American Financing when he gets back, and he can juice you up.
Hey, who's Gerald? Does he want a catalytic converter?
Oh, he's not here.
How many do you have?
He's not here today.
None. But I'll probably have some like 4 o'clock.
Okay, I think that's enough. Tim, you can cut
Double
it.
ended
Yeah, you
dildo.
can cut it for the thing. Yeah, we don't. And you could go to AmericanFinancing.net. They deserve better than that. There are no upfront fees. You can close in 10 days right now, especially with the housing market being as it is. It's important to know that these people have your back. You can save up to $800 a month on average if you call them 1-800-974-6500, 1-800-974-6500, or go to AmericanFinancing.net/Crowder.
And I'm supposed to jump in here and do Gerald's part, right? The NMLS number.
What's that?
182334, apparently. And
That's the NMLS number.
That's
you gotta,
right.
You got to get that number.
ConsumerAccess.org.
Yeah, it's 182-334.
That's right.
In a world. Is
Yep.
that how Gerald sounds?
No, he sounds.
No.
He sounds like I'm Oh my God, he's defecting.
Go to NMLS, consumersaccess.org. I'm Gerald.
Poor kid. Jerry Lewis helped
That's
him.
You do a great Gerald.
If I close my eyes, I can't tell it's not him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my best impression.
That's pretty good.
Christopher Walken.
Christopher Walken as Gerald. Hey, I realized I'm gay.
So silly.
It is great though. AmericanFinancing.net/Crowder. They've actually been helping a lot of people here out, so we're happy to be partnered with them.
Did he help you yet? Did Gerald hook you up or no?
It's we'll get into it, but yes.
All right,
Actually,
good.
I definitely got screwed, and they are helping remedy it.
yeah.
To a significant degree. Anything you want to add on Canada, because you were forced to live there for a long time in Quebec?
Where do you begin? Quebec is Western Europe, really, but
Mhm.
Canada would be like a liberal American state. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good analogy. Trump says, let him be governor of a state that would be like California, really.
Yeah.
They've lost their way completely.
Yeah, Canada's done. Canada's complete. I mean, they might come back now when you're talking about what's the name? La Poivre? What's that?
Poilievre.
Poilievre. Yeah. So the pendulum's going to swing back the other way, but
conservatism means something else there. They didn't rebel against a king. They acquiesced. It's a whole different spirit of people, right?
Right.
So I don't know what conservatism really means. Maybe fiscally.
It means they conserve a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of those things people don't understand. Like a huge reason for this, that the United States. Let me. This will be reductive. The reason that the rest of the world expects the United States to step in and fix, whether it's World War II or Ukraine today, it's the same reason that this nation has the Second Amendment. It was founded on guns and political violence, fighting off tyranny. You understand that? That's how we went from under the thumb of tyranny to the world's only superpower the next century. The same thing that these people from other countries complain about is what allowed us to be in the driver's seat when they come begging. Let's be really clear about that. Yep, Canada has the queen on their money. Yep, you look at Japan, which we'll get to. They're largely a people who have been made submissive. You're talking about a history of an empire. The United States is the one that said no, absolutely not in modern history. And you had people, effectively farmers with guns, fight off royalty.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we can give 100 plus billion, pledge it to Ukraine. That's why we can be the international peacekeepers of the world. You may not like it, but it's all part of the same agreement. We just ask that you make it fair. Yeah.
Speaking of international peace, I just seen on CNN breaking news that South Korea president has declared martial law.
Really?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can we go to this really quickly before I go to Trump and Japan?
Sure.
This is good Korea.
It's been about an hour.
Right.
Until this point.
Absolutely. And Colonel Layton, give us some perspective on all of this. Donald Trump comes into the White House January 20th. He has had a very interesting relationship with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
Can Mission Control, can you let me know why martial law is being declared? Again, we kind of live in a vacuum here.
Kind of hoping that
They're looking into it.
Okay.
I love how some of the guys have night vision goggles and some of them just don't. Like one guy has like the decked out like one for each eye.
Yeah.
It's got 4 lenses total. And then some guys are just like, I can't see in the dark.
Yeah, well, one of them is wrong. That's the thing. It's like either you need that or it's entirely inappropriate and you can't see well.
Guy at
It
noon.
was a night vision grab bag, and
You just stop by a convenience store. You're like, I'm going to sell you swag.
Lane the Brain says it's because of opposition party activities right now.
Opposition party activities.
What would Lane know about South Korea?
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
He like the ladies.
he is currently live streaming with South Korea right
Yes, he is. Yes. In a tank top.
He corrected me today and said it's Nippon. I said, okay,
Nippon.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. Lane know very much because I used to tweak his nippon.
I gave him a poopo nipple.
Yeah, that's right. Purple nippon.
Ginger man really like.
That's right. Even nippon twister.
We're just messing with everyone not in studio today.
They can't defend themselves.
I know we're like, Korea. No, we're talking about Korea, but we're about to go to Japan. Okay, so forgive me. I know that there's differences in Asia, but the truth is, I don't really care.
Kind of.
Kind of differences.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking Samsung and Suzuki. You know?
No,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, exactly.
But it's Nippon.
Nippon. All right,
Sounds
let's get
French.
to the land of the rising Nippon.
Is that Mount Fuji?
Yes. Though I do love a good Fuji apple. It is my favorite.
Oh,
it's my
it's a
favorite
good
apple.
apple.
My favorite apple. All you honey crispers, get out the way.
Hey, come on. It's a lab apple. I like it.
So Donald Trump, we went through Hamas, we went through Canada, and by the way, I don't think this wouldn't be ideal if Donald Trump were to follow through on this. But again, you may not know about the unfair business practices or trade practices that take place with Japan. Certainly, if you understand when you think the United States is racist, go spend some time in Japan. Go see a billboard with Bob Sapp as a gorilla smashing bananas into his face, selling novelty sex toys, and Japanese people just taking a picture like, oh, larger black man, very, very funny. Looking like a gorilla. It's a thing. It's a thing. And then if you're a foreigner, like, good luck leasing an apartment. Like, oh, no. Only for a national. Like, what? You can do that? Yes, yeah, very racist. So you just don't understand this because you're sheltered from it in the United States. And so many Americans think it's our job, our requirement to be benevolent to the whole world. I really do hope we enter into an era where we just reset the table and say we're going to stop getting screwed. That's what is going on when Donald Trump is posting about Nippon Steel purchasing an American company. So he posted this on Truth. He said, I am totally against the once great and powerful U.S. Steel being bought by a foreign company, in this case, Nippon Steel of Japan. Through a series of tax incentives and tariffs, we will make U.S. Steel strong and great again, and it will be happening fast. As a president, I will block this deal from happening. I love this last part. Buyer beware.
Is it a goosebump?
You're in for a scare. do. So, just to be clear, when people try and single out Donald Trump, this is what you're seeing from the media. This is the same thing that was expressed Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, John Fetterman, the Steelworkers Union. And this isn't ideal. The pre-market trading after Trump made this announcement, right? U.S. Steel is down 7%. There is an argument to be made that it would be better for a Japanese company to buy U.S. Steel, who has driven themselves into the ground. That's not the only factor, because they also have unfortunately been victims of unfair trade practices. But yeah, steelworkers unions in this country don't really care about you or care about the market. They care about never-ending bailouts. That's not lost on me. Japan, by the way, I should also say, is considering buying the Steel City's baseball team, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and changing the name to the Pittsburgh Samurai. And this is the issue that's just, I don't, yes, it's not needed.
Oh, we love Paul schemes.
Yes. So what is Donald Trump doing? Okay, let's look at what, fast fact one here, what killed American steel. By the way, I told you guys we're going to get to the COVID report, right? The select subcommittee report. Okay, all right, I forgot. So, there are a few things, and it's not lost on me that the unions have harmed American steel production. Okay, we'll get to that. But a big part of it is Chinese overproduction, dumping their steel. It's completely destroyed the United States steel industry. Right? China is actually making just as much steel as the rest of the world combined. Right? And then they dump their excess product out there. And so this happens, of course, they do it at cheap prices on foreign markets. And what does that do? Is it basically makes it's really hard to compete with a nation that employs slave labor. That's the whole we are the world thing. It's pretty tough when you have Uyghurs chained to a loom, right? Or you have a bunch of Chinese dissidents who are forced to work in a foundry. Let's be really clear about this. We're not all the world. So that is a problem. But the United States unions, who, of course, it's a never-ending revolving door between unions and Democrats. They exchange hands, right? They cut off their nose to spite their face. They also killed the industry, very much like we saw with the automotive industry. However, Nippon, this Japanese company, is going to be able to take advantage of all of that. In other words, they benefit from China. Japan benefits from communist China screwing American companies out of the marketplace, which brings us to a key fact number 2 that does need to be corrected. You may not realize this because when you hear about tariffs in the United States, you go, oh my gosh, that's novel. It is the way of the world everywhere else, especially when dealing with American goods. So Japan, for example, they've heavily subsidized the steel industry since the mid-20th century, right? They give them tax breaks. There are import barriers. There's all kinds of investment coordination between government and a lot of these executives. So just to give you an example, in October of 2024, Nippon Steel made a request for government subsidies to build new electric furnace plants, which will very likely be granted. So they get subsidies from their government while our companies here lose our market to communist China so that Japan can come in and snatch them up. I think it's a good thing for a company to at least still be in existence, right? It's better for America, for example, Toyota. Toyota, I believe, employs more Americans than the big 3 here in the United States, and they use more American parts. That's a good thing. The issue is it not being equitable. And so let me give you an example too. Well, first, let me give you a couple of more current examples, and I'll go back to Ronald Reagan. Would Japan let an American company buy Toyota?
I think some of them will have like a stock, but not the whole company.
No, they wouldn't let them buy the company. No. They wouldn't let them buy the whole company. For example, I believe Sprint, T-Mobile, that merger was SoftBank, which is a Japanese company. Japan is owning one of the biggest telecommunications companies in the United States. How many do we own in Japan? Would that be permitted? No, it would not. That's the issue. These other countries are the benefactors of the United States. It is the world's largest market. They all want to get in, but they all want to keep us out. So when it comes to their own products in their country, they're nationalists. When it comes to selling, of course, they're internationalists because, by God, they need that American consumer. Let's use that power and not allow ourselves to be bent over. They completely, Japan, they reject. It's referred to as FDI, foreign direct investment. So in terms of FDI as a percentage of GDP, it's sort of a metric that's used, references available in the sidebar. Japan ranks dead last. They're even behind North Korea. And yes, just for those who didn't believe me earlier, I'll give you a reference. Japanese landlords, they're allowed to discriminate against foreign tenants. That's an actual thing. So imagine Japan comes in, they purchase these companies, and they would never allow American executives, You think that Elon Musk couldn't make some big ass purchases in Japan?
Yeah.
Doesn't happen because they don't allow it. But we allow it. We allow it. We allow other nations to take advantage of us. It would be fine if it went both ways. I realized this when I was younger, and everyone loved Ronald Reagan, conservative president. I was really pissed when I found out he implemented a lot of tariffs because he wanted to protect Harley Davidson. I believe this was during the AMF days. There was some crossover. They were not good bikes. Okay. So he created these tariffs on the better bikes, Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki. They were building better bikes at that period in time. But the tariffs were so expensive, it basically kind of robbed Americans from getting a far more affordable bike. So that's bad for Americans. But then when you look at Japan and you look what was taking place with American autos, with American bikes, with American goods and services across the board, oh my gosh, it was going on for a long time. This was a way of fighting back against the unfair practices. Do you realize that the United States, we're not able to sell cars effectively in a competitive rate in Europe, of course, in China, in places like Japan? If you look at the tariffs, you look at the taxes, you think that there isn't an American executive who could buy up Brio? When I was in Europe, I was like, what the hell is this car? It was a pile of tin shit. You don't even know about it because it wouldn't sell here.
3 wheels.
Yes, effectively. It was a trike. Of course, an American company could. They don't allow it because they're nationalists when it comes to protecting their country. And now that brings us to, what do they do here in the United States? Japan has a long history of acquiring American assets. So yeah, I use that example, SoftBank. They acquired Sprint, and then they helped that merge happen with T-Mobile. In 1989, the Mitsubishi Estate Company, they bought 51% of Rockefeller Center, an American institution. 1990, Matsushita Electric Industrial Company purchased MCA, the owner of Universal Studios. So you look, these are major purchases taking place in the United States that would never be allowed to take place over there. And then they come in and they buy up American companies. Do you see the problem? This is the art of the deal. Come in hot, be willing to walk away from the table. I think that Donald Trump is using this as a negotiating tactic so that he says, okay, if you want to buy this company, then you probably have to employ X amount of Americans, invest in the community, as opposed to simply seeing us as a money crop, harvesting and walking off, which is what we've allowed foreign nationals in some point, but certainly foreign companies to do in the United States. We just have to make sure it takes place on an even playing field. Does that make sense? Comment below if you. This is one of those issues where if you disagree, I understand. This is a nuanced issue, like liberals like to use for everything, except I don't use it for abortion or chicks with dicks. I don't think that's nuanced. I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah.
But international trade is one where, you kind of find the intersect on the graph.
I'm disappointed that this Japanese company owns Universal Studios, and they haven't replaced the Jurassic Park ride with Godzilla. That's disappointing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think they know the
I
difference.
feel like they're missing out.
Yes. And they still keep the Jaws ride to their Universal Studios, which is it doesn't hold up very
That's not scary.
No, it's not super scary. What do you think there, Pops? Because you used to be we both were being, when we were growing up, like anti-tariffs and pro-free trade, but got off the beat.
Never libertarian, but definitely a free enterpriser.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't free enterprise. And so that dovetails in with what a free enterprise would believe. Using it as a threat is a good tactic, I think, but sometimes you have to lay it down. If they're not going to reciprocate, you have to spank them. There's no other way.
Yeah.
And if we're going to have a place in the world, and these people expect us to be the policeman and do what we do, they're going to have to play ball with this. It's just, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
But I don't think that goes against any free enterprise values to do that.
No, I don't think so. Anytime once you enter government subsidies into the equation, you are now past the land of free enterprise. You're in something, but it's not free enterprise. Mm-hmm. It's not a free exchange of goods and services. Would be hilarious if everyone logged into their phone though and their Pokemon Go no longer worked. Gotcha!
Is that still a game?
I have no idea. I was trying to think of something Japanese
Some
that
people
wasn't
definitely still play it.
It wasn't pornographic, and Pokemon Go is the only thing that came to mind because they're very depraved, perverted people.
It was during the 2016 election when Hillary said, "Pokemon Go to the polls."
Yes, that's right. Pokemon Go to the polls.
Yeah, that was
kind of like, this is going to hurt our brand.
Hurt her election chances too.
Oh my gosh!
And they debuted the new Pokemon Benghazi.
Yes. Just involved into an international scandal. What has it been? Yeah, I don't know what the next name would be. Hey, name it. We'll do it in chat. What's the next phase or stage? I don't know. I'm not a nerd of Benghazi Pokemon. I messed that up. Go to CrowderShop.com. Support in style.
U.S. House Subcommittee.
Wrong.
No, that's not it.
That's the next clip.
That's the next clip. All right. This is one of those where thank you and we, meaning you, are vindicated. The intro we ran today, Kung Flu Fighting, you can't find it on YouTube. If you search Steven Crowder or Louder with Crowder, Kung Flu Fighting, you'll find other people who ripped it and re-uploaded it. Because at a certain point, they said, meaning the powers that be at Google and YouTube said, okay, all right, you're kind of allowed to talk about it now. Well, we're actually making some progress here because yesterday, the Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, right? This is the official subcommittee tasked with running an investigation. They released their report, and we are going to go through 3 key takeaway findings, giving you all the references so that you know beyond any shadow of a doubt the truth. But let's start with this. None of us here are surprised with the findings.
The U.S. House Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic released its final report today, and the findings would have gotten you canceled a mere 3 years ago had you suggested them then. Things like the NIH did fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan, and there was widespread cover-up of the origins. Most likely, the report says, a leak from the Wuhan lab. Also, the teachers' unions enabled school closures that had an enduring and negative impact on millions of kids.
So just to be clear, before people say, oh, these are just pro-Trump, the subcommittee is part of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability. Okay? They are tasked with overseeing the federal government and, sort of being an enforcement arm or a watchdog as it relates to accountability. This is long-standing, right? This is not a new thing, which actually right now we'll go through this report, the 3 key findings, but brings us to an installment of Then and Now. I remember when this was happening, Pops Crider, you were ripping out the hair you had left.
Oh, that's mean.
I'm
So Gerald's not here. You go on my hairline
I'm
now. Okay,
sorry.
all right.
When he says that means he's got something far meaner in store for me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. All right. He's going to sit.
Hey, he's doing great over there at CNN, isn't he? I mean, this guy's
Scott
Oh,
Jones.
that conservative.
really making a go of it over there.
He's
Grover
making a
Cleveland.
go over there at Grover Cleveland.
I like the way he's doing it. He was kind of slow. The first couple times I saw him, he wasn't saying too much, too controversial. And then as the election progressed, came out more swinging. And
I think after the election, he's got a lock over there now. They realize they need some balance, and he's going to be a big dog.
Mm-hmm. Plus, is the only man there who's not gay. So that helps.
That's true.
Well, we don't know.
It's an inordinate percentage, some may say.
Yes, it is over there at CNN. It's almost the inverse of what you see in the popular. I don't know if you know this, but the straight male market, heterosexual, is far larger than the homosexual one. You wouldn't know it to watch Hollywood and CNN. If you're an alien and you landed, you're like, beep, 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 beep. So I guess everyone loves dick. Like, no. It's not true. That's not true. You're wrong.
Or at ABC.
Yes, or ABC.
Yeah.
Why are there so many guys kissing? How do you reproduce? Beep, 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 beep. And what's with Africa? Okay, let's move on. Now, let's go. This is what you were told back then. And it's not just what you were told, but the enforcement from your institutions. Remember, Donald Trump has sown mistrust in your institutions. Well, here's some more ammo for you. Back then, you were told absolutely by the authorities that be your institutions, the NIH did not fund gain-of-function research.
The NIH and NIAID did not fund gain-of-function research to be conducted at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
They took animal viruses that only occur in animals and they increased their transmissibility to humans. How you can say that is not gain of function?
It is not. The NIH did not fund gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Okay. Well, it brings us to now. Well, they did. That's what the report says, that taxpayer dollars did, in fact, fund dangerous gain-of-function research in Wuhan. Here's from the report. Dr. Fauci's testimony to Senator Paul misled the public regarding NIH funding of gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. It also concluded that the NIH was, quote, deficient in its oversight of gain-of-function research and fostered an environment that promoted evading federal record-keeping laws. Keep in mind, at this same point in time, you had the White House colluding with big tech to have anyone removed who suggested that what we now know to be true was true. All right, next point. Remember back then, we were all told, and you were told, and the left loves to, don't you realize the left loves to use the word narcissist and gaslighting because it's them. You were gaslit. You were told you were crazy. I'm using the proper definition. You think that COVID that it could have come from a lab. That's absolutely insane. We're going to remove you if you suggest this because it's so insane, it's dangerous. The conspiracy that COVID came from a lab, remember then?
The laboratory in the city of Wuhan at the center of conspiracy theories and a U.S. government investigation is once again denouncing notions that it had anything to do with the origins of the pandemic.
This virus was actually circulating in China, likely in Wuhan, for a month or more before they were clinically recognized at the end of December of 2019.
This morning, Dr. Anthony Fauci is shooting down theories that the coronavirus was man-made. He tells National Geographic everything about the stepwise evolution over time strongly indicates that this virus evolved in nature and then jumped species.
But the evidence from the virology community points strongly towards a natural occurrence.
There are no lab leaks that have led to pandemics.
That last one is pretty bad because it was pretty definitive. He kind of overreached there because now it turns out it did.
Well.
Came from a lab.
That's it. I'm getting rid of my Fauci bobblehead doll.
Yes, exactly.
When you march him down the street.
Yeah.
Don't worry, he'll be employed for another 40 years. They might do another bobblehead night.
Yes, exactly. Well, hopefully there'll be another HIV/AIDS epidemic that he can be wrong about.
Yeah, you can get it from your brother.
This is the reason they confirmed it came from a lab leak. Okay, that they said that COVID's biological characteristics are not found in nature. That seems pretty big. That COVID stems from one single introduction to humans, that Wuhan is home to China's foremost SARS research lab, and the Wuhan Institute of Virology employees, this one's pretty important, they were sick with COVID months before it was discovered in any kind of a wet market. So it's not just someone saying at this point, it came from a lab. The report confirms it came from a lab. This is many other reports have. It's not 100% confirmed, but if you look at the undergirding facts, it seems pretty clear at this point. And remember, let's bring up these overlays. The federal government, like I told you, they colluded with big tech to censor anyone even discussing this issue. When we were saying we believe this came from a lab back in 2020, as many were, we weren't allowed to discuss. It's not that you weren't allowed to definitively state something that you frankly couldn't definitively state. I couldn't definitively state that any more than Anthony Fauci could definitively state that it came from a bat sandwich. You weren't allowed to discuss it. You weren't allowed to discuss anything. And by the way, this has been confirmed from Mark Zuckerberg that he complied and he regretted doing that, specifically as it related to COVID and all, whether it was gain of function, whether it was a lab, whether it was questioning the science of masks, social distancing, teachers' unions, which we'll get to give you some context as to how militant they were on Facebook, back then on Twitter, on Google, on YouTube. These companies more powerful than world governments, just to be clear, throughout human history. This very channel, what you support with your Mug Club membership, is the only reason we could possibly survive, was suspended for weeks on YouTube for a comedy parody music video called Wuhan Mistake. We were suspended for 2 weeks for this.
Sometimes when I'm in the lab, pathogens get away. Chinese flu, look at me and wait. It was a Chinese mistake.
I miss that intern.
I do too.
He's a fun kid.
He made a great bat sandwich.
He did make a great bat sandwich. You know, his dad, we need to have him on, Dr. Trey. His dad is my doctor, so I brought him in, and he thanked me for firing his son.
Why?
You taught him a valuable life lesson. I was like, oh, thank you. That's me.
That's how he talks.
Mr. He talks like this. He has an accent, but he doesn't have an accent super severe. He has staccato way of speaking because he's very articulate with his words.
Okay.
It's, thank you for firing my son. It was a great wake-up call. I'm like, oh, that's me, Mr. Empathy. Now,
we usually had
a kid raised in Japan.
The challenge was waking him up, though. That was the
yeah. I feel bad. He might have been narcoleptic. He would. I mean, we did sketches and he would fall asleep all the time. And at a certain point, you're like, yeah, you this is probably not for you if you keep falling asleep.
I served with a narcoleptic guy. We had to take him off the 50 cal.
Yeah, I would imagine. just wakes up. He's aiming at the driver like Rambo.
Hey, we need some fire here.
Yeah. Like Mr. Bean in Rat Race.
Target acquired 1,500 meters.
And remember Fauci? I'm so glad we don't have to deal with this guy anymore, Fauci. And by the way, Donald Trump's new press secretary did have some choice words to say about Fauci.
Good. Why is the White House trashing Dr. Fauci and sending out opposition research like memos to reporters? The president has gone off on anonymous sources in the past, why not have the guts to trash Dr. Fauci with your own names?
I'll do it now. I'm speaking for the president. He's a jerk. Why don't you guys follow up on what he said during this so-called epidemic? Real dangerous disease. You could kill it with hand sanitizer. Give me a break. What's the hand sanitizer everybody uses? It's got a real gay name. Everclear. That's not it, but I'll run with it. He is a criminal. And any other time in this world, he'd be hanging from a lamp, and he still might. Just a liar. I don't like that guy. I never did. You see what he did to those beagles? He took their throat boxes out. So when they did experiments on them, you couldn't hear the dogs wailing in pain. Tried that on my honeymoon. But for that one, I'll tell you.
How'd you think it was going to go? And we're going to continue with this and get to the third then and now on teachers unions, but and what happened with the educational establishment, the institution you didn't trust back then. But do consider right now you want to continue. Click that button. Join Rumble Premium. Mug Club is now Rumble Premium. Rumble Premium is Mug Club. You get this show 100% more every day. The Friday show, Nick DiPaolo, Guns and Gear, and more. And of course, the Mug Club Undercover unit. None of this happens without you get everything ad free there at Rumble Premium. You were looking for an alternative to YouTube, big tech. Here you go, a one-stop shop, and it is expanding very rapidly. We have some announcements to come very soon. Just click that button. You get to continue watching and chatting with us. I do speak quickly. My pops gets on me about that. He's like, you speak too fast. Slow down.
Yeah, you speak pretty quickly, but you don't stutter.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I'm the bright side guy.
Yeah. Good. There you are. You Mr. Brightside. So let's go to this next point here. The three takeaways: gain of function. Yep. Confirmed. Lab leak. Yep. Confirmed. And now let's get to back then. The true heroes. I'm speaking, of course, of teachers. I know what you're thinking. Paramedics, soldiers. No. Public school teachers in rubber rooms.
You would be wrong.
They said back then that schools had to close to protect children and the teachers.
The pandemic is soaring, and so we need to follow the science, and we need to make sure that things are safe. You may